recommend is the best to cover your mouth? Does Gorilla Tape work better or duct tape?
Well, here he comes. So it looks like he is linking up. Tyler, I'm gonna send you a request to see that pretty face. There he is.
What's up? Let me clean my phone here. I'm sure I'll still be ugly, but I'm still gonna. There we go.
Do that. All right, Melee, this is your show. I'm going to let you just run with it.
Nah. I'm good for whatever.
All right. Dude, I just knew that there were going to be a huge crowd on. I don't know what's going on.
I was almost late. I was literally like in my car pulling into the driveway at 6:58.
Yeah, maybe the weekends are a little bit tougher for this kind of stuff.
Well, I was grocery shopping. We're about ran out of time.
All right. So do you know Jeff Price here? You ever heard the name Jeff Price?
Yeah. I've heard the name. I'm not sure if I've
He's
met
a
him.
legend. He's a wrestling coach. Science Hill.
That's how.
You were up in the East, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When did you graduate?
2006.
Okay, so you were there with Reese and those guys.
Reese, Cole,
Bishop,
wrestled. Yeah, so it was like the team of wasted talent. Really was the true. So many talented people, but just they didn't have man skills. Like what I call they didn't have the skills to just be. And they're my friends, but they didn't have skills to be decent humans after high school, and it just messed most of them up.
Right.
Sucks.
Right. I know what you're saying. I had a whole full team of guys like that, right? That 2006 bunch that I've got, most of them are struggling.
That's nuts. It's nuts.
Bo Ussery, Bo Ussery he could be somewhere coaching and doing great, but he just can't stay out of his own way.
Yeah, I've heard he's had a lot of issues. That was one of the most talented wrestlers I've ever personally been around.
Best kid I ever coached. He just can't get it together. David Buchanan's gone crazy, and so I don't know.
Whatever happened to that kid? Was he Reese? What was his last name? He looked like Brock Lesnar. Didn't he wrestle for you all?
Brock Lesnar. No, I didn't have.
No, who did he wrestle? No, he might have been in a different school. I just remember he looked like Brock. He was jacked. He was huge. He might have been. He wasn't very good. He was just big and strong. He was freaky.
Where's he from? Yeah, well, he wasn't.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't with you all.
Yeah, my guys weren't that big. So.
Does anyone that's already on have any questions or?
Jeff, go ahead and kick us off, man. Like, what do you got for Tyler?
What do you want it?
Yeah. Go ahead and
okay.
Any questions whatsoever? Any questions?
I'm just trying to my eating is awful. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to, I know in the process I'd lose weight, but what I really want to do is be able to make gains and get the most out of what I'm doing in my workouts instead of working out so I can eat bad,
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
A really good way to think of that, especially you being a wrestling coach, the idea of eating to look good just isn't something that you probably care about, or really any wrestler, all that. We just want to perform really well. But the one thing I tell people, especially with that mind frame, outside of sumo wrestling, an offensive lineman, the world's best performers also just happen to look really good. They happen to look good. Performance, and then when we're actually performing, the better we're performing, the more we're able to do. Improving the way we look is always just a side effect of that. So, I kind of encourage everyone to focus on eating in a way that's going to make them be able to work out harder, work out better. And that's measurable. Those are, I don't like immeasurable goals. I love measurable goals. Hey, I want to see this. I want to see improvements here. I want to see, my recovery time between workouts, and all those improve. Like I said, looking good just becomes a side effect. So think about, and this is something I use with people constantly. And I talk about this on almost every podcast or anything I do. And it's super simple, but it's also tell them like, for 30 days, just stop doing that. Before we add any new material, like before I try to add any new things in there, I need them to prove to me that they can stop doing the things that they already know are boneheaded. So if you can come up with a list of things you already know, especially being a wrestling coach, there's going to be things that first cut those out. Like cut the things are bad, and then start looking at other things. But really just eat in a way that is going to help the way that you are going to perform. Make sure you're getting carbs. There's a real big thing going on. It's like a cycle of every 3 to 4 years. Some new fad diet comes in that eliminates carbs, and CrossFitters jump on it. It's absurd to me, and I think it's because CrossFitters and wrestlers, CrossFitters are addicted to anything that is type A, anything that is control, like they can control, and anything that doesn't make sense and scares normal people. CrossFitters are freaking addicted to it. So like they're addicted to those diets that are super restrictive, but those diets will also keep them from being able to do CrossFit really well, because CrossFit is a glycolytic activity, and it needs glycogen to perform it the way that that you should be. So if you're not getting carbohydrates, and again, that's one thing a lot of people think they need to cut out. If you're not getting carbohydrates, your body's going to figure out a way to start getting them. And what it'll do, it's a process called gluconeogenesis. It's going to glyconeogenesis. It is going to actually start pulling from your protein, and your protein is going to start being burned as glucose. So you'll actually start wasting the macronutrient that you need for muscle recovery. So it's keep your carbs up. Just make sure they're good. Like carbs aren't bad. Carbs aren't the devil. No one was ever on their deathbed dying from sickness and disease and looked back on their life and said, it was because I ate way too many apples and sweet potatoes and white potatoes and bananas. Like, no, those carbs aren't bad for you. Rice isn't bad for you even. So again, just clean up your diet, clean up the things you're screwing up. Make sure you are eating plenty of carbs so you can match that performance. You have the stuff to push, but just make sure they're good and clean. Covers part of it.
So Tyler, one time I had this personal training client, and this is like 10 years ago, and he was telling me that he had a trainer that said, "What's your biggest cheat meal that you have every single week?" He's like, "Oh, it's a Big Mac with fries and a huge Coke." And so anyway, like basically the premises of what the trainer told him was like, take it down just a little bit every single week. So he didn't discourage him to like go drastic changes and say, cut it out. He was like, next week, don't supersize it. Go, large. Next week, go medium. But it was actually, just, and I think people can cut calories like very slowly and not have drastic changes and fail at changing their diet by just minimizing the activity. And, from an exercise standpoint, it's the same thought process. Like, do a little bit, walk. Now we're going to jog. Now we're going to run. And then now you're doing Zumba. And now you're this. And then you're CrossFit. So,
yeah, everything's like that. It's like a linear progression, just slow linear gains.
So like if we don't want to go crazy and talk about macronutrient ratios, or we don't want to like have like hard restrictions, like what can we do just to get a little bit better next week?
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's actually kind of been the goal. Like, I don't know if anybody's seen, I've completely changed like the way I do Instagram lately. And my whole thought process was, I'm like, listen, there's a lot of people who aren't going to hire me, and I don't really care, because I need clients, professional and general population. I need those because I have bills to pay and I have a family. But at the end of the day, like nutrition's actually my passion. So I like helping people no matter what. And if someone ever asks me a question in the airport, they're going to find out I've almost missed my flight before talking about nutrition, because I had to make the point before I got there. I was fully ready to just get another flight. And I've started putting out free information, like just all these little tips. And I've already had people message like, hey, I've lost like several pounds a week just from following your Instagram, because I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to throw in just little things here and there. So that's one thing. Like I'll tell people, like, go check those things out. But the number one thing, again, I'll go back to that. Everyone should make a list of the top 10 things you know you're screwing up. Go ahead and eliminate those before you even start trying to do anything else. Eliminate the things you know you're messing up. Then just start changing your food to quality food. Weighing and measuring is great. It's needed essentially for most people to reach a caloric deficit. But what I found is most people can start making really, a lot of progress, especially if you're on the standard American diet. You're going to make huge progress before you even worry about quantity if you just focus on quality. So start looking at ways to improve the quality of your food. Switch out your junk food here for a little bit of food here. Don't worry about the numbers behind it. Just start making small changes. When it comes to like what you said about, like, if someone's eating a horrible, like if they're eating a Big Mac, well, then maybe next week switch to something else. I do that a lot with people that are drinking soft drinks, because one thing about sugar is, it's always cracked me up as a high schooler. I used to make people really, really mad at my church because people would want to ask me nutrition advice at church, and like, don't do that, because I want to quickly tell you that the drug addict that you're judging is just addicted to his own drug, and you're addicted to sugar like the rest of us are. My parents got told people were praying for me a lot for that. But one thing you can do, like if someone is drinking a lot of Coca-Cola, I'm not going to tell them like, hey, just stop drinking it. That makes no sense. They're addicted to it. Like you can't just cold turkey cut something like that out. And that's what a lot of people do. They're on a horrible diet. They're eating terrible. And they try to go from a standard American diet to keto. Well, what's going to happen? They're going to lose a lot of water weight in that first week just because they switched. But then they never broke some of those habits. They're going to start having a lot of issues. They're going to have setbacks and drawbacks, and they're going to go right back to it. So I had a guy one time who was literally just God's honest truth drinking 6 liters of Coca-Cola every single day. 6 liters of Coke. It's unreal. So we literally just went down half a liter a week. We didn't even do it like every day. We went down like half a liter we went half a liter per day, and would stay with that for a week. Then the next week, same thing. And we just slowly done it. And then it got to the point he was drinking 1 can of Coke Zero a day. And before, we hadn't changed anything else. We literally didn't even start messing with his diet. And this guy had lost like 20 some pounds just because he lowered his Coca-Cola intake. And then we start making small changes from there. So yeah, there's a bunch of little ways. Again, it's just kind of do whatever, like whatever bad habits you have now, just start minimizing those. On Instagram, just like a few hours ago, I posted ways to avoid snacking. That's going to by itself, help a lot of people, because it's the meals, here and there between that a lot of people could eliminate. That's really going to get them where they need to be.
Hey, Tyler, this is Josh. Thanks for hopping on, man.
Yeah, man.
Quick question about calorie deficit. So do you have just a good, without knowing all the details and obviously being a client, but a good suggestion on a calorie deficit to start?
Yeah.
What I've done before is I've calculated my basal metabolic, and then I haven't multiplied up for exercise.
Yeah.
Kind of stayed there and tried to hit my basal, and then just kind of taken off those few hundred calories that I might have exercised off for the day as a kind of a starting spot.
Yeah. So keep in mind, like a basal metabolic rate. And there's like the Harris-Benedict formula is in my opinion, the most accurate, to calculate your basal metabolic rate and then do one of the multipliers for your energy levels. That being said, like we all kind of mess those up. We don't really know like what to put, and it's different for different days. CrossFit's the perfect example because you might have burned, 300, 400 more calories on a Monday than you did on a Thursday, doing CrossFit. And, not that one's better than the other. It's just those days are so different. So it's very tough. But a good way without, like, if anybody that's on here, like a good rule of thumb that I tell people, like, if you don't want to fool with like all the real intricacies, your basal metabolic rate, assuming you're a healthy individual, and most of us aren't, but we're still within, 100 points, give or take, from this, is your body weight times 10. So if you're 200 pounds, if you stayed in bed all day, every day, you're going to burn 2,000 calories. And when you tell people that, like, well, there's no way I'm eating 2,000 calories a day, but I'm still not losing weight. I'm like, sorry, like, you are. Maybe you're not eating 2,000 calories a day, but I promise you, you're eating 14,000 calories or more a week. And what I mean by that is maybe they're hitting that, they're eating less than they think, 6 days a week, but there's times in there they're sneaking those in. So basal metabolic rate, body weight times 10 is a really good way to find that. But keep in mind, that is your basal metabolic rate. The minute you stand up, that's no longer accurate. Again, that's if you were to stay in bed all day and do nothing. The minute you stand up to go use the bathroom, basal metabolic rate is completely out the window. You go to work, you're burning more calories now. You eat, you're burning calories. So that is a low number. I never actually had people start there. So when I'm making someone's diet, if I was going to use just a simple number, body weight times 12 would really be about the lowest caloric range I would ever have them at. Still, you can do the math on that and figure that. That being said, you still might notice you're not quite losing weight. Well, like, you have to stay consistent on that for a couple of weeks before you really can tell. But even my fighters, like, when they're getting into the final week of fight camp, they're never eating below body weight times 12. And these are people who are losing a bunch of weight. Like, I would never put someone that low. Most healthy individuals start losing weight, body weight times 14. So body weight times 14 and 12 to 14 is normally like a good caloric goal for weight loss. And again, a lot of people can look at that and say that's more than I eat now. And it might be more than you eat on, like a Monday through Thursday, but I promise by the time you add a beer here or two and coffee creamer and ketchup and this and that, like, I promise you're getting much higher than that than you think. And again, days are different. Maybe that's your metabolic rate, your total daily energy expenditure Monday through Saturday, but maybe Sunday you don't do as much. So like you really, if you're tracking these things, you have to stay consistent and stay on the ball for a week or two before you even think about changing things up. Does that answer that?
It did for me. Thank you.
Sweet.
Amy, do you want to ask Tyler how to fit in cookies and beer on the weekends?
Hey, I just wrote a blog on that recently on alcohol. That's a good one.
Look, Tyler, I'm joking. Look at what I just pulled out of the oven.
What is that? That looks amazing, though.
A chocolate cake. I was like, this is why I'll never have abs.
All right, man. Abs are overrated. That don't matter too much.
No, if I add the cookies and stuff in, I try to keep that into my caloric deficit. So I'll skip something so I can add those in.
No, seriously, and that's the difference in and man, I went from like I look at like the evolution of my own like work through nutrition. When I was like first in college and I was studying nutrition dietetics and I was a professional fighter, it was also, and I'm not shy about this stuff. I tell everyone because it helps people. Like, when I got out of wrestling, I had developed bulimia pretty bad because I was always like the smaller guy in my weight class. Then I wanted to go down a weight class and I just didn't really know how. And as the wrestling coach on here will tell you, like when it comes to wrestling, it's, we would chop off our arm if it meant we got to wrestle. So like I was bulimic before I even knew I was bulimic just for the pure fact of, I'm making weight. But then you actually start to develop the issues that make you addicted to hitting that. So like I was dealing with bulimia for 7 years. And a lot of the issues I was having with that and what I learned, was I was like too controlling. So my first 2 years of really getting on track of eating the way I should, my first 2 years, I ate strict paleo. When I say strict paleo, I didn't do honey. I didn't do an artificial. So like there was literally 0 non-paleo items in 2 years, counting holidays and everything. And I was really proud of that, but it was not fun. Like it sucked. Like, and it wasn't sustainable long term. And now I've kind of come full circle to finding, like, I still stick to super like clean, healthy eating principles. But at the end of the day, like you have to make room for those things in there, like the small here and there. And your ability to sustain that is so much better long term. You just have to account for it. Like, so I know people that say like they're following a really clean diet, but then every weekend they're drinking, and they get upset if something's not changing. It's like, well, something has to go. Like, if you insist on like you either have to change your goal or change your path to your goal. So if someone, and I've had clients like this, like, hey, I want to lose weight or I want to look better, but they're doing something like they're going crazy every weekend. It's like, well, that's not going to happen. So let's do this. Like, let's quit doing that. Okay, well, I can't quit doing that. Okay, we have to adjust. So you have to do what you just said and start finding ways to pull things back from your normal eating so you can allow those. And it's perfectly okay. Like, if it's not one of my athletes, I don't care if someone drinks, as long as they're counting, for that, and it's not detrimental to their goals. Because I know, like, drinking, and I'm just using that as an example because I get that a lot. Drinking makes people happy, but so does hitting goals. So if your weekend of happiness is keeping you miserable because you're not reaching that performance or aesthetic you want, it's kind of, something's got to give there. But that's why I did that. I did that article recently just about that, like how to fit things like that in. It's completely doable. Like for me personally, like, I'm at a weight right now that I want to be at. I don't want to change. And I know that I can eat clean Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday, and this is just me, I'm not telling everyone to do this. Sunday, like, I'll do intermittent fasting, just because, number one, like, like Sunday morning, I like to kind of like sleep in and just drink coffee all morning. And then from like 2 to, like, I'll do it from like 2 to 10. I'll kind of eat whatever I want, and I know that I'm still going to stay around the same weight. And I'll be fine with that. When I say eat what I want, I'm still not bad though. Like, it's still pretty healthy. But I also know if I ever want to start losing weight, I would have to take that out. There's no way I could maintain that. I would have to start controlling what I eat on a Sunday too. So again, like, all this stuff's really good for longevity and sustainability. Like those are the things that, the way I eat now, like, I'll plan on eating this way for the rest of my life. Like, I don't dislike it. There's never a day I tell myself, like, I wish I ate worse. Like, I love the way I eat. It's sustainable.
So how did you get yourself to that point? How'd you get in that place?
Man, well, let me think of the best way. Well, I mean, I can tell you there was a few, man, just to be like really real with people. So, like, the moment I knew I had to fix the bulimia, and I mean, it was bad. Like, it was a bad situation. Like, so this is why I don't shy from telling it. The moment I knew I had to fix it, and most people want to know, at that point, I think I was like 6-0 or 5-0 as a professional fighter. Like, I was lean, like I was, no one would have really, really, truly known. But I remember one time in particular, I don't know what about it this time, but I had to go to the emergency room because my esophagus was, like, essentially, like, messed up. Like, I was put on medicine because I had, like, hurt my esophagus from making myself throw up. And, like, I just remember, this is what I'm studying nutrition. Like, I know better, but it's a mental thing. Like, people who don't, maybe haven't had that issue, like, they don't understand. But, like, for me, that was when I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm, like, in my mid-20s, like, pretty successful person, and I'm sitting here having to take medicine because, like, for the next few days I'm on a liquid diet because I can't eat anything, all because, like, I'm making myself throw up for eating things that aren't that bad anyway. I mean, when I tell you, like, go ahead. It wasn't that bad. Like,
you'd weigh in and blow up 12 pounds. You'd weigh in and wrestle, you blow up 12 pounds. You spend 3 days and you don't eat anything. And then you weigh in and then you eat everything you can see. And I did overcut in college, and it's messed. I think I've been dealing with it ever since.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've absolutely spent the last, like, I just in the last couple of years, I feel like I've finally repaired that. So it took a long, long time, but I mean, I know I had metabolic damage from things that I had done, like, as a like as a teenager in high school or and
Yeah,
college and everything like that. Like,
my metabolism that year, and I don't think I've ever gotten over it.
yeah, absolutely. And again, these are things I tell everyone because it kind of helps some people. But when I was 27 years old, I knew that I just wasn't feeling good. I was having like weird bouts of depression, and I went and had my test levels checked. And at 27 years old, I should have been 600 to 900, and I was 97 were my levels. And they asked like if I had abused steroids. I'm like, well, I haven't taken any. Like, so. But what it was I've had head injuries from fighting, have a stressful job, and I was bulimic for years. And I was a wrestler. I cut weight, so I was extreme harsh dieting. And these harsh diets, even if it's not bulimia or anything, if you're just one of these people who are constantly at a caloric deficit, you're screwing your system up. And I had to be put on TRT for a while and like build myself back up. And I deal with that now. And I won't say any names, but just because of confidentiality. But I work with some top CrossFitters that were like finishing in the top one. One finished in the top 5 females in her prime. Like I have 3 females right now, 3 female CrossFitters right now, all that had made the CrossFit Games. Every single one of them, and the only reason they're working with me is because they want to have a kid now, and they can't have a kid. Because the damage they've done to themselves, because they were performing at such a high intensity and a high level, but they looked great. I mean, again, I can't say, but if I was to tell you who, people would just think like these women are like the body I want. But these girls were performing at a high intensity, but they weren't eating enough. So they might've looked really good, but they completely screwed up their hormones. And, like out of that, 2 of them, like since we started working together are having a period again. And that's mind blowing. One of them called and like they were crying when they told me that, because it'd been years and years, like more than a decade since like they'd had their cycle. And that was purely just because they weren't eating the way that they should. They were eating too little while they were doing CrossFit. CrossFit didn't do that to them. Like Under Recovery did that to them, because they were more focused on having that CrossFit ab look than they were eating, the way that they should. And again, they were performing well too. They just weren't eating enough. And hopefully it's reversible, but it very well might not be at this point.
So did Tyler, a question for you. Did your issues lead to you being passionate about nutrition and helping others?
Kind of what really led to me like wanting to do nutrition really wasn't even because I was already like, again, when I say like I would like when I had bulimia, I wasn't one of these, like I was eating super healthy. And then I would go like binge eat chocolate cake or like ice cream and stuff like that. Like I'm talking like I would be eating super healthy. And then I would eat like 4 tablespoons of peanut butter and feel bad about that. Like it was that level of control. Like, so like I wasn't even doing that bad. And now like I'm at a point where like, if I want a piece of chocolate cake, I'm going to eat it and I ain't going to feel bad about it. Like, I don't care. But what got me into what I do now is I started doing nutrition just to be better as a fighter. But I was going to school for nutrition dietetics. And with that, you generally learn kind of the standard American, like recommendations for that. And they're, not to say they're all bad, but they're not super applicable for everyone. And then I met Rob Wolf, at that time was like CrossFit's nutrition guru before they fired him. But he had wrote the Paleo Solution and done all kinds of big things. He was a big Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, and I met him and we became friends. And he mentored me for like 4 years, and he kind of inspired me to kind of like really get into nutrition, like more than I was.
That's cool. How did you guys get set up?
I went to a seminar. Cause I think I got my CrossFit L1 in like 2008. I think was like my first L1. Like I remember, like I had my CrossFit L1. The first CrossFit workout I ever done in my entire life was Fran at my CrossFit level 1. Like, cause back then they used to make you do like, I don't know if they do when you had to do Fran there. That was the first time I'd ever done a CrossFit workout. I was just a wrestler and had heard that wrestlers liked CrossFit. And I think it was like $500. It might not even that much at the time. So I went, and then I got to looking up like CrossFit specialty courses. and I saw that there was a CrossFit nutrition course, and I saw that Rob Wolf was the leader of it, the speaker. And I knew, like, I had heard of Rob Wolf before, just through the mixed martial arts world, because he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy and a Muay Thai coach and all this. So I really just kind of went just to see what he had to say, and everything he said was unreal. Like I loved his. We have like a similar background and everything, so that was kind of how I met him. And still, I mean, I still talk to him probably like once a week. It's been awesome.
That's cool. So
I went to Fit Club. Oh, sorry, Brad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Joe.
That first day of Fit Club was like a wrestling practice, man. I thought I was going to die, and that's why I was hooked from like day one, because it was just because the suffering of it was so cool, you know.
Yeah, man, that's one of the people talk about, like the endorphin rush and stuff that addicts people to CrossFit. I think that's part of it, but I think that humans are like we have a hive mentality. Like we always, I mean, that's why we have such a hard time right now, like with this whole social distance thing. We want to do what people are doing. So I think like what makes wrestling so much fun, and then what makes CrossFit so much fun, it's not necessarily the endorphin release as much as the mutual suffering. Like there's a sick part of it, like we like that hey, this sucks, but it sucks for everyone else too, and they're doing this thing with me. So it's an aspect of that community. But like like when I owned a CrossFit gym, one of my favorite things to do in the warm-ups was we would hold like a 3-minute dead bug, and a dead bug is one of the most miserable positions to hold statically. And if one person's legs dropped, the time started all over. Like we started it completely, and they hated me for it. But I'm like, hey, this is mutual suffering. Like it sucks for you. It sucks for every single person in this room right now. So like I just think there's a huge addiction to that.
Yeah.
So something I think that would be cool, because we got so many different unique situations on the screen here, is each one of you guys will do like a 4-minute AMRAP. Sorry, my little buddy's screaming. Tyler, this will be you soon.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, just wait.
That's awesome.
Let's do a 4-minute AMRAP. You guys got 30 seconds to a minute, and I'm gonna go through each one of you to tell like where you're at in your fitness journey, your goals, and then Tyler's gonna like draw up a very basic prescription for you, and then like from there,
Jeez.
if this is cool, then like y'all could reach out to him, and like he could really dig deep with you down the road. So I'm gonna go reverse order from the people we have not talked to. So Tim, are you listening right now? If so, unmute and let us know.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, what's up, Tim?
What's happening, man?
To tell Tim or tell Tyler, kind of what your goals are, and then just go from there. Let's go.
Okay. Well, so I actually used to go to Tyler's gym right before he sold it to Michael, and so I started up there.
You made a good switch.
Yeah. And then then I got out of it for a while just because it wasn't working with my schedule, and so I started at Thunder Valley. Be a year here in May, and I went in. I was right at 240, 245, somewhere in the neighborhood. And since then, working out 6 days a week, I've gotten back down to 205. But I feel that, and I don't really concern myself with the weight, but I feel like I'm plateauing, and I'm just not able to kind of get over that hump to get more body transformation, I guess, is what I'm looking towards.
Okay. All right. So under these rules, Brad, do I respond now or do I respond after?
Let's go right now. Let's do it.
Okay.
Tim's got three more minutes on the clock.
So with that,
right here.
this is awesome. So with that, like I tell people, like when you've already lost a lot of weight, like you got to take a little bit of time and stop focusing on weight, because you'll probably never be happy. Like I've never known anyone who ever had a weight loss goal. It's like, hey, I want to weigh 200 pounds, and they hit 200 pounds. They're like, all right, I'm done. It don't happen. So go ahead and start transitioning your goals. Now, if you're plateauing, I assume do you mean plateauing in your body weight's plateauing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for now, what I would do is focus on increasing your performance in the gym. Like just think about that. Keep doing what you're doing, but start thinking like, all right, I need to hit this harder. Like I need to, like still like within the realms of what you're capable of. I say, like, before you worry about intensity or anything, posture and position matter more than anything. So never sacrifice form for intensity, but start like asking yourself what you can do to do better at Thunder Valley, like what you can do to improve your performance in your workouts. And you're going to notice just inherently that you start to break that plateau a little bit, just as your performance starts to increase. It's just that always happens that way. So again, stop focusing on weight. Maybe even just if you're weighing regularly, maybe completely stop weighing, and just, like whether you're journaling or, we always had like the phone apps and stuff across it, but I still like to write it down so I can open it up right there and see everything. But just start focusing on improving in your workouts. And maybe that means you need to change your diet up to improve. But I promise you, if you start noticing improvements in the gym, like you're going to break that plateau, and you're going to start, like, aesthetics are going to be a side effect of improved performance. Okay.
Yeah. And I think the nutritional side of it is where I struggle the most, not necessarily because I eat crappy. It's just, I feel like I need to know more. Where I teach, I always feel like I want to know the most. Like when I'm in the classroom, I want to be the most knowledgeable teacher in the classroom to my students. So ergo, whatever subject it is that I'm taking on, I want to know the most. And, so I'm kind of walking blind in, coming from a background where we lived with grandma and we always had biscuits and gravy and fried chicken and, all this stuff growing up, to now I'm transitioning into being an adult, and you get one higher than normal cholesterol reading and you're like, oh crap, we got to do something. And so now it's like kind of learning to walk, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I totally understand that, but honestly, like I know you, and I know you're a really intelligent guy. So you have a lot of tools, like maybe not to really fine tune it, and that's okay. But you have the tools to kind of know what you should and shouldn't do. Again, maybe not the amounts, but that's all, you can figure all that out. But you're gonna, what foods are healthy, what aren't. We all know what proteins are healthy, like what protein choices, what carbohydrate choices, what fat choices. So like, honestly, I would just focus on getting those quality items. And if your performance starts going down, eat more of them. Again, if they're quality, it's okay. Like you're not going to suddenly just put on all kinds of body fat because you're eating more quality food. Like, you can still go over your caloric deficit with quality food. But again, we're trying to get you, because honestly, what I suspect, with the amount of weight you've lost, what's that, 40 pounds now? Yeah. With the amount of weight you lost, you have some residual metabolic damage. It just happens. That's just a side effect of extreme weight loss. And that's a pretty extreme. That's great though. I mean, it's awesome. But you have some metabolic damage. So if you keep chasing a caloric deficit, you're just going to create further metabolic damage, and you're going to further drive your basal metabolic rate down. And that's why I would rather you focus just on eating for performance right now and improve your performance at Thunder Valley. And then I think you'll break that plateau that way.
That's kind of the mentality issue with it, is like, cause you focus so hard, like where I was so out of shape, and trying to get back to where a normal weight is for me. And then, focusing on that deficit, and then now making that mental switch has been kind of the hurdle. Yeah.
Well, it's hard, but it's time to get out of that, bro. You're how tall are you?
5'11".
I mean, you're 205. Like, I mean, that's pretty darn good, dude. I mean, you've already lost 40 pounds. I mean, it's time to kind of mentally accept the fact that you're not a fat guy anymore. That's pretty freaking awesome. So just like,
all right, guys, can we transition?
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, cool. Amy, are you good to go? Can you hear me, Amy? Yeah. All right. So Amy's a really unique person, Tyler, in the fact that she is a cardio and just workout enthusiast. And so she works out so she can have those little cheat meals on the weekend. So Amy, I'll let you take over.
Yeah. So my goals, I don't know if I guess they've changed, if I'm being honest. I don't weigh myself anymore. I was kind of neurotic with the scale. So honestly, for me, I love doing CrossFit, But when Brad started the burn program, I realized how much I missed cardio because I used to do a lot of long distance running. And what I noticed when I started doing burn, that really is what's keeping me going, is kind of like you said, you knew what worked for you. I mean, I've tried every diet there is. I've, tried all of that stuff. But for me, it boiled down to burning more calories. So that's where I started seeing differences in the way my clothes fit. And then probably the other biggest thing is when they had the body fat mobile thing come, like, I don't know when that was, in December or something. Brad, when was that we did that? January? I kind of set a goal for myself, and I was like, if I'm over this, then I'm going to, for real, stop with all my snacking. But I was pleasantly surprised with it. And I thought, I am 45 years old. I am doing more than most people do on a regular basis. And I need to just stop being so judgmental and critical of myself. And as hard as that is, it's a challenge every day, especially on quarantine while I'm sitting here making a cake. But I don't know. I'm just trying to change my perspective and not being so judgmental, but kind of like enjoying stuff too. Like, I don't want to feel guilty when I have a snack or, make cookies with my son and that kind of stuff. So as long as my number stays like in my conscious thing, I'm not having to buy bigger clothes, then I feel like I'm good at it. I think right now my struggle is finding the balance between burn and CrossFit, because I want to do both, but I know that isn't the right thing to do, but I like to do both. So I'm just trying to figure out the best balance.
I mean, well, the cool thing is, like, from what I know about you and like what you said and everything, like the fact that you can make chocolate cake and not care about it is it's like that in itself is a huge, like, that's cooler than any like weight loss goal, because that the mental hurdles are again, that's awesome. And that's how everyone should be. But man, as far as the balance goes, I've always been a little bit different, and I like, that's why I get along with Chris and Brad so much. And I've heard people from the outside that just kind of laughed when they started doing this burn class, like that's not CrossFit. I'm like, who the freak cares? Like somewhere along the line, CrossFitters became some of the most judgmental group of people. Like it started as a group of people who were supposed to take a little bit of everything and put it together, and it became the most judgmental group of, if you're not doing cardio or if you're not doing CrossFit the way we say, like you suck. I'm like, well, screw you. It's just not full. Like, not everyone likes traditional things. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So when they started that, I had told Rand, I'm like, that's so freaking cool, because like running doesn't, pure cardio, like, is it the absolute best thing for you? No, but I promise the person that's doing cardio every day and is only doing cardio every day is in a lot better position than most Americans, and
right.
most are overweight. So it's silly to act like that there's anything wrong with that. As far as the balance goes, that's just kind of a hard personal, like, you're gonna have to find that. But it is 100%, if you have the ability to do both. Most people, they don't have the time to choose. So it's if you have the time to do both of them like you do, obviously, I mean, just find that balance to where you feel best. Because I have a feeling too, if you were to, well, I don't have a feeling, I know this, if you were to eliminate CrossFit, you're going to see suffering, like you're going to suffer in your cardiovascular health, and you're going to aesthetically, you're not going to be happy with what happens, because you will start to lose some of that muscle mass that's helping your basal metabolic rate stay up. So, I mean, if you're happy with the balance you got now, keep it. If you're not, change it for a few weeks. And then I would just play around with different, like 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 4 and I don't know what you're doing, but yeah, I would just spend a month playing with the balance and just see whatever feels the best for you. But my ultimate, again, like, I think it's dumb when people judge people that just do cardio. But again, the ultimate is to do both, which is what you're trying to do. So, I mean, you'll know when there's the balance. Again, you just have to, you can't do it for a week and then say it didn't work. And then, like, you're going to have to, like, find one and stay with, or like find a ratio and stick with that for 2 weeks before you really make a judgment call and switch to another one anyway.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike, are you around? Mike, I'm going to give you, there he is.
I'm
All
with
right, Mike. Mike, do you want me to give your background, or do you want to give it?
I'll give my background. I'm with Amy though. I'm making brownies. We just
Mike's a really good athlete. I'll just give you that.
My background is I was a gymnast, soccer, I don't know, a bunch of other things. Never touched a barbell until I found CrossFit. Mine's been weird because I've never had a weight loss goal. I'm actually up about 50 pounds from when I started.
Jeez, that's awesome.
I'll pull up the picture real quick.
No, it's okay. And I have some Olympic weightlifting goals, but right now, I think kind of the way what Amy was talking about, finding a balance. I was one of the diehard super judgmental CrossFitters, Tyler's speaking of, and I got into burn just by making a commitment to do that with my wife because she does not like CrossFit. And so I love it. My aerobic capacity has gone through the roof, and I've actually seen it translate over into Olympic weightlifting and CrossFit and workouts. I've heard Tyler talk about it a lot. What are the 10 things that you do? And I'm pretty confident I know what those are. And there's some of them I'm just not willing to change.
Dude, and that's the best part about that list. Like, it truly is, because like you have that conversation with people, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's just, you got to be honest with yourself. That's awesome.
I mean, I look at a lot of this, to me is some mental health in there. Like there's days that I would get up and I'm like, man, I work out a lot. I do this. For the most part, I try and eat well. Like, I really wish I had like some rocking abs. And then I'm like, I have a stressful day and I come home and I finish out the day and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pour myself a nice bourbon and sit in my chair. And that makes me a lot happier and more confident in just my mental state than having abs would.
Yeah. No, I get that, man. I've told people before, like, I've had clients that were just go-getters. Like, I knew they would do anything I told them. And that was kind of their thing. They performed really well, but genetically, like for some people, the secret to abs is different parents. Like, it just is. Like, it just 100% is. Me, like, at my leanest, I don't really have good abs until I also cut water weight, because I hold a little bit more water on top than a lot of people do. At my worst shape, I still have like pretty lean arms. Like, my arms still look like just genetics. But I've had clients before that I've done this. I've said, like, all right, like, we're going to chase abs as hard as we can for 2 months, and I want you to tell me if that was worth it. Like, if it's worth it to you. It's like, all right, they're going to make this goal for abs. Like, I can help almost anyone if you're lean. Like, if you're already in good conditioning, I can help anyone get abs in about 8 weeks. And so we would do that. And so I've had several times we've done this. And at the, like, even if they wanted to give up halfway through, I'm like, well, no, at least you got to get it before you decide. And they get there and they're like, no, it wasn't worth it at all. Like, the quality of life was not at all worth it. But then it's honestly about every single one of those. Then when we slowly go back up, they still have a little bit better abs than they did before they started. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and we know it's genetic. You know it's genetic in high school, because like, we all knew that guy who did whatever he wanted and he still was just shredded, or like, even now, like, we all like know that guy who goes to a regular gym and does nothing that makes sense. He eats whatever he wants and he has crazy abs. Like, that in itself shows people that like, abs are not are not something that you can always just get, or that, like, for some people it's just it's just genetically what they do. It's just their it's just genetically what they have. That being said, almost anyone is capable of getting them. It's just might not be in your DNA for it to be worth the sacrifices to get there. And a lot of people, like, if you are in good shape, a lot of people, they start to lose that conditioning as they get there. And almost everyone I've ever had that they had never had abs, but they were in good shape, and we just made it happen. Like everything dropped. They looked really good until they got out of it, but their performance dropped. Like they started, like nothing felt good in the process. So
yeah, and I think I've learned that through the years in CrossFit is, you see those guys, but I want to be able to function like you're talking about. I want to be able to function every day with my family, with work, with, I'd much rather, when there's times that for work, I'm moving heavy equipment, and 5 years ago, it would have beat me to death. And now, you can just roll in and just take care of business and move on. And it's not an issue.
Yeah.
And that's more important and, helpful for me in just real life.
Yeah, no, I had one guy once. It was actually within this last year. And it's just like, I'm at a place now where I always try to just be like brutally honest with people, even if it kind of like hurts their feelings to an extent. But I had a guy who was like in his early 40s, and that was his thing. But he was unrealistic he was just on me. Like, I want abs. It's the only thing I want to do. He was in good shape. He's like, I want abs. Like, I want my wife. His wife was pushing him to it, which for me was already like a stop. So like, and I was just telling this guy, I'm like, listen, bro, like I know, and this guy, when we were getting his body stats and everything, we were getting DEXA scans, metabolic efficiency testing. I'm like, listen, I can give you abs, but I'm telling you right now, the return on investment's not going to be there. So what I can do is I can kill your metabolism after we're going to have abs for a little while, but you may be so messed up that you have erectile dysfunction for years after that. So why don't you go ask her which one of those she prefers? Like, does she prefer does she prefer you that's going to have sexual issues because you chased looking better, or would she prefer the fact that, and this guy had, like, he was lean, like he was one of those, like, if you woke up first thing in the morning, he's going to have abs, but by the end of the day, like, you just wouldn't see him so much. So like, he was chasing this super ripped look, but for him to get it would have caused so many other issues. It just wasn't worth it. Ironically, God's honest truth. God's honest truth. They're divorced now. It's really weird.
Of course they are. This call is going to force us to quit in 15 minutes, so we've got to move on. Amanda, go ahead and shoot over.
Okay. So I am 40. I've had 2 kids. Abs. I've gave up on abs a long time ago, but it's so funny because I'm literally looking over at my oven. I've got a Hershey brown cast iron thing we're trying for the first time that Grace got for Christmas that we're just now making. So anyway, we should have had a baking party too tonight, I guess. But like I said, it's my journey has been up and down. So after 2 kids, I put on the weight. I didn't get the weight off. In 2015, I did really good, and I got it off. I got down to my target weight, and then I quit working out. I thought I could do it just by eating good, and the weight came back on. September 2018, we got back from the beach, and I looked at pictures, and I was horrified. And my sister, who also goes to Thunder Valley, said, look, we're getting ready to start this fitness challenge. You should try it and see what you like. I had been running, but that's about it. So I started in September 2018. I was 230 pounds. I'm 6 feet tall, which everybody's like, oh, you're tall, you can wear weight well. No, that's a lie that everybody tells tall people. So I did the 6-week challenge. I hated the nutrition part. It sucked. It was awful. But I pushed through it. I'm very competitive. So, my timer's going off. Brownies burn. So, very competitive. So the fitness challenge that we did, like, pushed me like no other, because I was like, I'm not only going to lose weight, but I'm going to win. I'm going to win this thing. So I learned very quickly that the competitive part of it really motivated me. So that helped. I got the weight off. I'm down to about 185. I have fluctuated time in that. But I would say one of my goals, kind of like what Tim talked about as well, is just not necessarily plateauing for me, but I want to be able to maintain that. But also, like everybody has been saying, like, I want to enjoy what we get to do here as a family. So like Grace wanted to make this Hershey cookie brownie thing. And I don't want to become that person like there's nothing nothing unhealthy in the house.
Yeah.
And my husband will tell you, he's here behind me, I have a bad sweet tooth. So I've learned that I have to find that balance. What everybody's been saying all night is you need to figure out the balance. Eat a healthy dinner, but enjoy maybe a cookie or a brownie. You know, that 6 weeks was awful.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'll tell you something really funny. Me and Amber thought we had found the answer. Halo Top had a no dairy ice cream. So we text Melissa. We're like, oh, look what we found. She replies back and she's like, oh, it's processed. And I'm like, you're not kidding me. And I think at that point, Amber's like, I'm done.
Yeah,
so that was really, I've learned through that challenge, it works. The weight came off. But as far as my goal honestly, and I'm being very sincere when I say this, is to keep up with the community of Thunder Valley workouts.
Yeah.
There's just something there's something to say about working out on your own and working out in a community of other people that have probably a lot of your same goals.
Yeah.
And they're encouraging you, you know, they're getting up there early with you because I go to 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something, that's a goal for me. And I took 2 weeks off for Christmas and it was awful because of course the weight's going to come back on at Christmas. And I just realized having that community and that, you got to be there at 5 a.m. You got to be there. Class is going to start. Yeah. There's just about that, then being like, oh, I can just do it whenever I want when you're on your own. And that's why the live remote workouts have been amazing because even though they're recorded, there's something about knowing at 6 p.m. I can get on there and see, I can see Jeff, I can see people I work out with in the mornings, and there's just something about that. So that's a goal for me is honestly just keeping up with those workouts and finding a healthy balance.
Yeah. So I would say same thing with Tim, just focus on performance. And the better you eat, the better you're going to perform. But to find that balance, you still have to be realistic with that balance. And maybe you're doing this, but just be honest with yourself. So I tell some people like, well, I still want to have like in things I enjoy here and there, but you have to define what here and there is. So this whole 90-10 principle, like I eat 90-10. I'm like, well, that's very hard to say. So if you're doing something like that every day, maybe you just like maybe that's unnecessary. Maybe once a week. Okay, cool. So just start limiting those things a little bit is what I would do. So again, like I'm the same way. Like if I enjoy something, so like I know that if I'm craving something, I will not buy it. Yeah, like I won't leave it at my house because I want to eat it throughout the week. I'm going to tell myself, okay, I'm going to eat it Saturday, and then I literally go buy it Saturday. Like it's not in my house before.
Yeah, willpower is a huge part of it.
So just take that out.
Go by and you're like, oh, I'll get this for the kids.
Yeah. No, I don't have that
like,
way.
That's still smart to sit. Yeah. Having 2 kids in the house is I'm not going to lie, it's very challenging.
So I tell people like, for sure. So if you're going to do that, that's okay. Just limit the amount of those off plans you have, and you can still enjoy it. I mean, heck, like you do, I just have to one time a week do it, and you're still going to enjoy that. I promise. That's much better than never by a lot. And do not have it there until it's time to do it. Like again, that's my thing. Like I just know if I had the things I want around the house all week, I just know my triggers. Like I'm not the kind of person that can have salted cashews at my house because I'm going to eat them all the time. So I just don't have them. But if for some reason I'm craving on Saturday, if I'm craving salted cashews, I'll go buy one of the single serving things and eat it, and I don't care.
Yep.
But I just know if I have the ability to cheat on some of those things every single day, I'm either going to do it or I'm going to constantly struggle with whether or not I shouldn't. So I just don't give myself that option. But then once a week, I give myself that option. So I would just say limit the amount of times you allow yourself to make that choice.
Well, and I've found smart things to do, like the big bag of trail mix at Sam's Club.
Yeah.
My husband could buy that bag and eat half the bag. It's a huge bag. And I have found a Ziploc bag and my serving size.
Yeah,
and
stuff like that.
And so I can't take the bag to work. It's gone in a week. But if I put in a Ziploc bag, then I know that's all I can have while I'm at
That's
work.
the way to do it. Just keep doing that. Try to find more ways to do it.
Yep.
Just limit the off plan. No problem.
All right. I think this call will be forced to end in like 10 minutes by the Zoom standard that I set up earlier. So who is Jay's iPhone? Are you there? Nope. All right, Jeff, let's go ahead and shoot it to you then. You're up, Jeff.
I just think if I lost weight, I would be able to do more stuff. But I got to find something I can, like it's just a constant struggle to find something I can live with. You know what it's like. I mean, wrestlers like to eat. We like to eat. And so I want to get out of the habit of where I'm working out to support my eating habit.
Yeah,
You know what I
I'll
mean?
say this though. One reason wrestlers like to eat, and one reason people who you'll never find someone who has you always find someone who has an issue with binge and purge. There's no such thing as someone who just has a purge issue. Like, that's not happening. It's a binge and purge or a restriction. There's always something that comes with that. With wrestlers or anyone that they say like I love to eat, and then they get addicted to eating. That addiction is fueled by periods of super caloric restriction. So the reason wrestlers love to eat is because they literally train their brains to think for years and years. Like, hey, like I'm going to go through these sucky periods where I'm just going to chew bubble gum and spit in a bottle and eat celery and so like when your brain gets deprived of those items, as soon as it's no longer deprived, like it literally, like it's a scientific fact. It's hitting signals into your brain that's telling you eat this and hoard this. You can't trick the body. People are always, like, hey, I'm trying to trick my body. The body's been here for hundreds of thousands of years the way it is. Like, you're not going to trick that thing. It's figured out a way to outwork us, but you can screw it up. And when we have those periods of restriction or crazy dieting, you screw up your body's, like barometer there. Like, your body starts to screw up. So then it thinks when food's available, I got to hoard this stuff and save this stuff because I don't know when this idiot, and I say idiot because I was that guy. I was like, I don't know when this idiot's going to take food from me again. And that's what my body was doing. That's what, again, that's the wrestler thing. So it's literally about, instead of going from these periods of, like we go from like, we're eating 20% and then we're eating 100%. Like, you got to find that 50 at all times. And that's what we're talking about, sustainability. So it's literally just find a happy medium that you can stay on so you don't have those ebbs and flows. Again, and I don't know about your diet history now. I don't know. And maybe you're just suffering from things that happened to you decades ago as a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, like we do Whole30s. We did Whole30 2-3 times, and that's so extreme. And it was just like wrestling. It was like, okay, I got 5 more days. It's like wrestling over on day 30. Wrestling's over. So what am I going to do? So you just blow up, and it doesn't. And so there's got to be, I don't know. It's like trying to find because it's just like trying to working out. I got to quit working out to support my eating habit because I want to get better at stuff. So
yeah, man, it might just be, again, without knowing more about kind of what you're doing, it's hard to say. But I would say like Whole30, it's one of my favorite ones when it comes to food quality. The quantity, it just depends. Like, the numbers aren't always there for everyone. It just depends. But it's quality food. Like there's all those foods are really good, whether you believe, and I try to toe the line on both. I can argue proper nutrition with a Christian. I can argue proper nutrition with an atheist. Both with a creation or beginning story. It doesn't matter whether you believe in creation or evolution. Like, we started off the way we should eat. Like, it's just there. Like, the food is there. It's out there. And I tell people, like, now you could say, like, shop the outside of a grocery aisle, or there's a million ways to say it. But the fact of the matter is, the more man-made food gets, the more you just need to stay away from it. That being said, like we were talking to these other people, you don't need to stay away from it at all times. I mean, that's where the quality of life comes in. But if the majority of your diet is spent eating just lean meats, fruits, vegetables, starchy carbs, I mean, potatoes, sweet potatoes, nuts, seeds, oil, like, if the majority of your diet is spent doing that, every now and then, like eating something processed, it's not going to be the end of the world. Doing it every day starts to become 2 times a day and 3 times a day and 4 times a day. So like, that's one thing too, is just figuring out what people's triggers are. Like, I know I can't do that. Like, I know it's better for me mentally. So let's say if we use a Hershey Kiss as the model here, if I tell myself, all right, you get 1 Hershey Kiss every single day for 7 days, that's going to mess me up more than if I just told myself on Saturday, you do 7 Hershey Kisses. It's the same amount, but I just know if I give myself a little bit every day, that little bit every day becomes a little bit more every day, and then a little bit more every day. But if I tell myself this is it, you're sticking to it, but you're doing it once at the end of the week, for me, that works for me. So it's finding your triggers.
So okay. Like, you give yourself a day where you say, I'm going to do this for 5 days or 6 days, and this day I'm going to do something. Okay.
Yeah, and I still,
because I got to remember Amy at Big City in the cook on Saturday, you know. When I'm getting
But here's the thing: still don't make it a full day, because you will absolutely ruin 6 days worth of eating healthy if you take 1 day to eat whatever you want. Like, that is way too much. But having 1 meal, like it just, I rarely find that 1 meal knocks people out of their deficit if they were controlled throughout the week. You know, that being said, if you were working at like 80% adherence during the week and then you blow it out at the end of the day on Saturday, that's going to screw you up. But if you're hitting 95, 100%, you know, Sunday through Friday, and then Saturday you have 1 meal that's loaded nachos or whatever, and you're still doing your workouts, like you're active throughout the week, I really don't find that messes people up. Again, it's just, you just got to find your triggers. Some people doing that on Saturday, like mentally, it makes them also want it on Sunday. And then it's a feedback. So for some people, they'll do a cheat meal every 2 weeks, or you just have to, I mean, wrestlers were really good at that. Like finding ways to again, you don't want to suffer, but like making yourself stick to a goal. So finding what those triggers are and kind of start throwing those out and just finding something more consistent.
Cool. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I think it's going to kick us off, and I want to be able to wrap this up. So, Tyler, how can people get in touch with you if they want to dig a little bit deeper? Real quick, how many UFC championship belts have you been part of?
Max. If I just count the person, I won't say how many times they won. Cormier, Max, Khabib. Gosh, I can't even think. There's one more. This is horrible. I can't even think who it is. I've worked with 4, and I can't think who the first. I can't think of my 4th champion.
Usman. It's all good.
Kamaru Usman.
Either way, this guy knows what he's doing, and you know he's like working and talking very basically to you guys right now. So like, I definitely encourage you to consider reaching out to him and possibly digging a little bit deeper. I mean, he's putting championship belts out there. Like he can definitely help you guys get to where you want to be. And I heard a rumor he was going to start the burn program until, you know, Corona came around. So Mike would actually have, you know, Mike and Amy could throw down with him.
As soon as I was going to, and then as soon as we got shut down by this mess, like I want to start doing it. That's my kind of thing. I like that.
Cool. Well, let's reach out to him if you have any questions and would like to just perform better or lose some weight or whatever your goals are, guys. So,
Instagram's a good way. Instagram's a good way. Reach out. I answer almost everything. But I do, like, now my goal is I'm putting tons of like free tips and stuff on Instagram, like purely, and it's not like, you know, I'm all about like business people will know I'm all about sales funnels and stuff, but this is literally like information that I would tell like a paying client. Like, I'm not trying to like, I'm literally just like, how much free information can I give to still make really good results to people who haven't hired me? Like, that's my goal with it. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'm putting out things that I legitimately like believe. So
you can never lose by giving to the people, is what I believe.
No.
When's the baby due?
July 30th. I'm not having it. July 30th.
Here's my question: are you going to do due diligence and gain a dad bod or no?
No, I'm using it because, again, the wrestler in me, like, just to be an absolute, not a jerk by any means, but just to absolutely show that is bullshit. Like,
oh, dang it! You're throwing me under the bus, bro.
I swear, like I will live or die making sure I look better than I ever have with after that. Like, I promise. But man, look at you. I mean, I don't know, but like Mike and Brad, like you both, like you don't look like what people would call a dad bod. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not. You might lose a little bit of shape, like, but it's not. That's I don't believe in that. I believe it's harder. I know it's harder. And with women, here's my thing. Guys, I think I'm just saying, like, it's tough. Like, I know it's going to be tough, but man, and I've told Raina, like, the way a woman's body changes through pregnancy, like, it has to hormonally and chemically. The fact that they can ever get in any kind of shape again is miraculous. It's amazing. So I'm like, if they can get back in shape afterwards, like, good Lord, I better, by all means. You know, like I better figure out a freaking way because I didn't have to do anything for 9 months.
Just wait, bro. It's coming.
Oh, I know.
All right. Well, thank you all for hopping on a Sunday evening. Tyler, I appreciate you.
I appreciate it,
yeah.
Thanks, Tyler.
Cool. See you guys.
Thank you.
See ya.